Hey Blast,
Hey, Burst.
guess what?
Huh?
More spoilers ahead.
Really? If I had to guess, the last dungeon is going to be going through memory lane, essentially, like in the tower.
Welcome to the trunk. See the plants within the capsules? Yes, I changed my voice. These are species that either can't survive in Windspath Gardens
Oh, the city is so golden.
called Conde Petty. Oh, Conde Petty is from Final Fantasy 9.
Interesting.
Yeah, Aoife Tree is the giant tree from Final Fantasy 9.
Oh.
The tree that stopped all the souls from returning to the crystal.
Hmm.
It was one of the dungeons.
So they're referring to it, but it's not playing the role that it did from Final Fantasy 9.
Exactly, yes. It's just a likeness of the name. So anyone that has played Final Fantasy 9 will be like, oh my god!
A large scale skin, you say? What does it look like?
Like your mom. I mean,
Wait, no, that's a bad joke.
nothing I've seen before. Clara is also a location in Final Fantasy 9.
I love
Freya's kingdom.
Oh, I'm loving all these references. I love this so much. Hey, the way they're flying in formation, don't we look like migrating birds? Oh dear, it's over already. Time really does fly when you're having fun.
Oh my god.
I could definitely see the tragedy of her living in a place like this because similar to Star Trek, the idea is that what do you do if you're an explorer and you're not able to explore? You can fly!
Dawntrail.
Oh.
Dying in that domain would be no different than dying outside it. There's no guarantee of safe return.
Die in the game, die in real life.
Alexandria.
Ooh, we get to visit Alexandria for real. Well, not for real, but you know what I mean. Oh, we actually get to run through Alexandria like in 9. Oh, this opening! Remember this?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Check this place out.
Oh, this is the roof. Wait, no. Yeah, it's the roof.
The roof?
Where Vivi goes to see the thing with the rat.
Oh, you're right! I know what you're talking about, going to the theater and stuff. Oh, shit.
Whoa.
Leading edge technology eliminator. Jesus Christ, you have a big sword. Ooh. Oh my god! This is turning to Kingdom Hearts 3. Fighting data and such.
Or got hacked. Where's our data drain?
Where's our data? Yes. Oh, this reminds me of Omega. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness.
Synchronization complete.
Hey, we're here. Time to shut you down.
Yup, and then just immediately turns to this spot. Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, this thing just appeared. Like, there's no, like, cool transformation sequence or anything.
I suppose it is like a computer thing, though, so...
This boss is so Phantasy Star Online. This is totally something from Phantasy Star.
The thing that's in the chest definitely represents the heart of Sphene, if anything.
Like, that's where the memories are stored. With the way that they did for Otis, they put her memories into this.
Ah, here we go. I believe.
I will suffer no interference. Disappear.
Oh, okay. Ooh. Oh, that looks cool. It's gravity. Oh, I love that.
This is a very Phantasy Star fight. Because there's a final boss of Phantasy Star that does almost the exact same thing.
Get away from me. No, stop.
Oh, we have to balance it out.
Interesting.
Oh, that's so cool.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it's that Tetris thing. Come over here.
Oh shit. Okay.
Gravity's making you fall.
Yes, I see. Oh, this is so cool. I think they're taking this from Fall Guys. Ooh, what's going on? Partially restored?
This is what I desire, and I will not fail.
Ooh. Oh, the music!
I can't bear to lose them. Not again.
But we do so much damage.
Whoa! Oh my gosh, that was so flashy. Jesus Christ, that was flashy. It's my trophy.
The first half was laying out the foundation for all the right reasons. Not that I didn't mind the story, it was just the way that they laid it out, or the way that we progressed through it was slow. But at the same time, we were so used to the pacing of Shadowbringers and Endwalker, so there was no way Dawntrail could beat that.
Right, I think what Dawntrail was doing is, because now that we have the relic, it's giving us the pieces for the upcoming expansions. And I like to think that the dungeons and the story, at least in the first half, was doing a good job setting up the characters and setting up everyone's motivations for the last half.
And no, I don't think anyone would have suspected to have for Dawntrail to have anything that could remotely and it's certainly good. Starting with the blessed children that didn't live. They all died in all those urns under the water in the third dungeon. That was...
I appreciate that the first half, like specifically that dungeon, explaining like the blessed children and the sacrificing of children, is a direct reflection in the later half, which is them relying on the souls in order to stay alive, and like the sacrifice of souls in general in order to keep their way of life going.
Same with the Asians. They had to sacrifice half their number to sustain Zodiac, to bring them back to the way they were.
Yeah, I think what this expansion was doing was rehashing a lot of those previous expansion elements of storytelling, what they did, and kind of like redoing it with these new characters, like kind of re-emphasizing it in a way. Oh, yeah, and speaking of the Yogg-Saron giants, I think they were, like, their way of thinking of, as long as you remember, they'll continue living. I like how they take that and twist it when they go into Alexandria to where, like, they'll do anything at whatever cost in order to keep those memories alive, because they want to keep those memories alive. Yeah.
Yes, you're supposed to remember and celebrate those who passed, but not live in the memory. It's like when people pass away, and you're like, if only I could just have one more day to talk with them. No one wants to have a whole month or year with them, because after a while, you'll be like, okay, this is wrong.
I think what it is yeah, like in that notion, it's taking their last moments or taking their memory and degrading it the longer you try to keep that good memory alive, essentially. Just like with Takia, where she is essentially, like, as the longer she goes and with her inability to explore, her life becomes less and less for her. And that's why she, I guess, chose Oblivion at that point. Which is the aptly named faction. But no, like what I was saying earlier, like with the first dungeon, I think it was really good first dungeon because it was kind of previewing elements of the expansion with its mechanics, with its enemies, and with its final boss. Like, I like how the blobs were mimicking you, which I think is supposed to emphasize the copying of memories. And kind of like, even though they're people, they look like people, they're not. And that's like the entire last half of the game where you're dealing with already dead people. They're not really real, but they still like can invoke emotion because they share the memories of people that already died.
I like how during this the keynote, how they introduced, you know, like the enemy. They showed Valagramanda and they showed that one artwork, and we're like, ooh, is that a trial? But no, it was just the final boss of the final dungeon.
Oh yeah.
Because I was like, when is that thing gonna show up again? Oh no, that's the artwork of the thing that we fought at the end of Alexandria.
Yeah, yes, that was
like,
a fun one.
That looks like it's gonna be a real cool trial. No, just kidding. It's just a dungeon mouse. I guess the same can be applied in Endwalker when they showed Anima. We're like, oh, that's a trial. Nope, that's just a boss. So my expectations are now twisted for future expansions.
Oh, speaking of bosses, the final boss of the first dungeon I thought was really apt because it was a predator that got stronger after eating lesser enemies. And not only that, but the last boss of the first dungeon is an insect-looking like creature, and the final boss of the expansion looks like a winged insect also that wants to eat souls to get stronger. So I like that. There's like
so
a lot of parallels.
They have some correlations and themes going on throughout the whole thing, which is great, and hopefully people see that. But I think it's the pacing of the story where people are like,
I do agree with you though that Zoral Jaw is probably like one of the weaker villains compared to previous villains that we have in Final Fantasy XIV.
I get his motivation, wanting to succeed his father, or wanting for people to recognize him as the ruler. But I don't know, there was just something weak about that. Like, okay, but what set you on that path? Is it because there's a right of succession where, since he's the only son of Gulul Jaja, that he's like, wait, I am your son. Why are we having a right of successions with 2 or 3 adopted children?
Right. I think what it is that almost immediately, even though he's the miracle son, even though like he was like I think he's like the firstborn ever to a 2-headed Momoja, right?
Yes, that's why he's called the miracle son, because they said that the blessed children can't have children.
Right. Because of that, there was a lot of weight on his shoulders, like a lot of responsibility to kind of meet up to those expectations. And even then, even how strong he got, he was still living in the shadow of his father. And even like the contest even proved that his father didn't wanted to elevate him more than his other children, his adopted children. So he had to work 3 times, 4 times as hard to try to get his approval, and he still didn't get it, as far as I've seen. And just ultimately, he's just a villain that just couldn't stop. He couldn't accept the fact that he wasn't going to be like as great as everyone keeps saying he is. He couldn't accept that, and that he kept going for more and more power. And he got lucky with the friggin' finding Alexandria.
But what they didn't explain is how does Zoral Jaw's advisor know about the key? Oh no, wait, just kidding. He was the advisor to Gulul Jaja. Never.
Yes, I did find it very surprising and it was very foretelling when Zoral Jaw killed his advisor in front of the Golden City Gate, because he essentially that's a character trait he takes on in the future. In the last half of the game, where he essentially backstabs Vhane and goes after her people in order to get what he wants. So there's a lot of elements in the first half of the game that get twisted and get retranslated into the last half of the game, where the stakes get higher and higher with with souls specifically.
Yeah, but even so, I get it. I get the motivation behind what he does and what leads up to it, but I don't know. It just felt weak.
I think
I guess if we were to compare it to the previous villains, like say Emmett Selk and all that, it's really hard to top those villains.
No, yeah, I agree. I think they just needed a villain to kind of really emphasize the point of they needed someone that would be reckless with their power, and in order to emphasize give examples of how they're able to utilize souls more, because I do think adding the element of using souls as a resource for like re-raises and in order to empower yourself. That's a cool element they added to the universe, I think. The what's it called? The memory regulators. That's gonna be. I feel like that's gonna be an element they're gonna take in the future with. Like, I'm hoping they bring back things like Kairos and memory manipulation and just the idea. Like, it does feel funny of them using souls as a resource.
They never touched on the whole thing during the escalation attack on Tulialal, the soldier that killed the lady,
Mhm.
and then brought out a device and absorbed her soul or took her soul. That was the only time we've ever seen that.
I wonder. I think the additional scenes we're gonna get soon are the opening of the Arcadia, and now we'll get to visit those memories and souls that got taken during the attack, possibly, or maybe even find people that died along the way, kind of thing.
I think with the key's gonna come into play with the Alliance, where we go to the shard where exists Final Fantasy 11, and that's why we're gonna go back to nostalgia roots and I'm excited for that.
Oh, that's gonna be cool.
Because everyone's like, wait, how are we going there? Is it a part of our world? Or what's going on? Or is it inside Solution 9 or whatever? Like a simulation, but no. With the ending, or with the relic, yep, the relic is going to come into play where we're visiting another reflection.
Yeah, I wonder...
Why is a question.
Yeah, I wonder if the Electro Gate can be reprogrammed to visit other shards. Like, maybe the last zone isn't the only place that portal could go. Maybe, just like with Kryle's key, they could take that to other shards now. Like, they have a way to visit other shards using that gate.
But what would be the story or motive to do so?
Maybe just to have Ishtola go visit Ragnar again. I forgot his name already. Back in the first. That'd be kind of fun. We also have to consider that there are elements of the 13th and the 1st that may come into play in the patches coming up, because the ability to go through shards now is going to hopefully combine into like the larger story that they're going to do in the next expansions. And we also have to consider is going into space, going into the edge of the universe. So I wonder if they're gonna touch on that stuff too in this, like in the patches of this expansion. I don't know, but how do you feel overall with this expansion? Do you think it was a nice addition to Final Fantasy XIV?
I think so. If it helps set it up, then for sure. It wasn't bad. I just thought it's really hard to top Shadowbringers and Outlook, so my expectations were not high.
How about this then? Like, I think when it came to story trilogies and stuff like that, or the overall story, they had Realm Reborn, Stormblood, Heaven's Ward. Oh no. Realm Reborn, Heaven's Ward, Stormblood, and Shadowbringers and Endwalker to tell like the one cohesive story. How is this in comparison to being a start of a new story? Considering that there might be like, what, 2 more expansions in order to get to like Myriad for this one?
They have everything written up to 10.0, they said.
Right.
So,
and we're in 7.0, right?
We're in 7.0, so 3 expansions left.
Right.
But to answer that question, yeah, it's like, what's telling us to go to Myriad? Or what threat is in Myriad? Like on top what we have now. We now have the means to go to other shards. We have the means of traveling beyond space. So it's now wide open. Where do you go from there?
Right.
First, you started off with a Realm Reborn to explore Eorzea. Then, because in the theme of adventure, you can go from Eorzea, or the majority of Eorzea. Then you go to the northern Eorzea, which has been closed off. Then you go to the far east to Othard or Stormblood to liberate Alamigo and Doma. And then things happen and you're dragged or summoned all the way to the first. So that's another opportunity for and then there's Endwalker, which extends it. But as it extends, you get to explore the moon and go to the very edge of the universe. So they have now laid out everything in terms of adventures and explorations.
Mm-hmm. They have like this wide area to explore between what time, space, shards. Like there's so many things to like go to now. So many options. It's all about what kind of story they're trying to tell. And I think Dawntrail, the real heart of it, is them defining, like them furthering the definition of what a soul is and what, like they're trying to, calcify, I think, like solidify their definition of the soul, the memories, like what they can do, how they interact with the characters and with the various technologies they have. Because I definitely feel like that's gotta be a thing with the next expansions, with like when it comes to things like Mirror City and the dragons and whatnot, and coming from other space, like outer space and whatnot. I just think it's just so interesting what they did with how the regulators essentially use a pure soul without its memories. And the idea that, like, because they do the same thing with how, what was it, La Habrea's memory crystal, and even though he's not real, he's able to explain to you things during pandemonium.
During his time there, yes.
Exactly.
That's exactly what's going on. Except, yeah, they're not real, but it's a memory, and the memory of everything they've done till the day they are gone.
Mm-hmm.
So they're taking that theme and expanding on it further. What if?
Right. So they took that element and essentially created an entire zone with all those memories. And I do think that's pretty cool. That final zone specifically, I do appreciate it. Like, I don't know if it compares to Ultima Thule, but it still is able to hit on certain like feels and points about essentially. I think the theme of that zone is essentially saying goodbye to old memories, because when they become too unsustainable to hold on, you ultimately have to let them go in order to move on.
Move on, because the more you hold on, the more it hurts.
Yeah, especially like they do a lot of mom and child like ties in here, like Wuklamot and her mom, Erenvel and his mom. They're really trying to hit you hard with like saying goodbye to, like, I think people need to go, I guess, say hi to her mom if they are still around, because I think that they're trying to say that those memories are going to be very important to you in the future.
The whole check in on a family, a relative, or a friend. Just say hi to them, see how they're doing, kind of situation.
It really hit me hard when it was like the young mom for Wuklamot, Namika, right? And then she suddenly turned old in front of her, like her current self. Like, oh, that hit me really hard. But yeah, I do like what the zone was trying to talk about, and I'm actually kind of curious about going back there now to see if it, like, I know it's not going to be golden. It's probably going to be like the blue sky thing, and people are probably going to be, maybe people from Solution 9 are going to be visiting the place or something. Like, I'm very curious how the zone's going to be treated. But yeah, like, where do you think we're going to go next now? You said Final Fantasy 11, right?
That's the Alliance, so that has no bearing on the main story.
Right. Or it may be part of the main story, like you say, with the trophy thing.
But in terms of where we're going, we don't know yet, because now it's now that people are coming back from Solution 9 to the real world, there's going to be a lot of conflict. Like, how do you get them reacclimated back to real life? Or what happens to Solution 9? And you can't leave Golja by himself to be the ruler, the king of Solution 9. It's weird because now there's a part of the reflection or the electropes now in Eorzea. So that means our world now has the minerals, the materials, to take full advantage of electrope for really powerful things, since you can take energy and convert it. But it's also a matter of what kind of energy would you convert to within our world, since we're so abundant in pretty much everything. I think
Oh,
someone's gonna
right.
try and take it and turn ether into something.
Or make powerful spacecraft and weapons, because we already kind of have that with Vanguard, like in their weapons and such. Speaking of Vanguard, I think the dungeons in this expansion were really good.
They were
Just-
very good, and the music, the soundtrack for the entire dungeon, expansion, has been phenomenal.
Yes, I really like the mechanics they were playing out in the dungeons. Specifically the ones in the later half of the game, only because I love the sci-fi aesthetic in Final Fantasy XIV. They look really cool.
Yeah.
I can't wait to grind them for glamour, because they have some pretty good glamour in them. And just how the storytelling happening through the dungeon too. Like, I don't think the final trial had the same feel of feels in, like I said, in singular wise, but for a first expansion to try to tell a new story, I think it was okay.
I agree.
I definitely feel the, let's call it, the heartless nobody. Like, it looked like a giant nobody to me, like from Kingdom Hearts 2 or 3, I can't remember.
From all of them, 2 and 3, because that's when you start caring about nobodies.
Right. And what was you explaining about how it's definitely a Phantasy Star boss?
Yes. The whole, everything from Solution 9 and beyond is very Phantasy Star aesthetic. If you were to play Phantasy Star and you go into the hub, it'll look almost exactly like Solution 9. And Phantasy Star is known for their huge, big bosses that looked almost like the Queen.
I see.
And especially with the background, that's like, oh, are we in another playing another game? Did they bring the Phantasy Star to Final Fantasy? I just saw people saying it's Final Fantasy with PH. New Genesis, which is Fantasy.
That backdrop was so cool, though. It looked really badass. Definitely would use that as like a wallpaper or something. What were the other trials? Let me see if I remember. Because there were 2 other trials before this.
Balagramanda and
Yes.
Zorelja.
I think the Zoralja one was actually pretty cool. Oh, I'm past the cutscene. Hold on. Oh, we're just gonna leave the artifact right there, exposed to anyone to steal. Wait, what? You can't show
Does
that.
that mean something's going to happen? Because you have to remember, the crown is also her regulator.
Oh, maybe
Does she have a soul?
Yeah, she could just revive, right? Like, come back? Interesting. Yeah! Arcadia!
Ooh, the water.
Ooh, water effect. I love the soundtrack. Oh, wow!
That's right, friends. After a long hiatus, I am pleased to announce the grand reopening of the Arcadion.
We did it!